This is What If Deku was Shirou Emiya? Part 15. Crazy we made it this far. But, here we go. Where we last left off, Deku was, went to the hospital where Olivia was with Ida and Lorelli. And, he's learned that Tosaka been kidnapped. And Sakura was up there. And, this is where we pick up. So let's jump right back into it. So Deku, he's pissed. Like, he's beyond pissed. And he's just like, who did it? Who took Rin? And what the hell did they do? And, Sakura is telling him that they blew up his house. And Deku can't believe what he's hearing. His house gone, blown up. And Sakura says that they didn't even have a chance to fight back. There was someone there who had Gilgamesh's powers, and, she knew how to use them without holding back. Actually, she could have even used them better than Gilgamesh did himself. And he's just like, what? How? And she doesn't. It was like she was controlling the space they entered and exited, which sped them up. And she launched them beyond the speed of sound. It was like no one could touch her. Deku, he's hearing this and he's just like, okay. And, she's like, there was another shorter girl there, and she had this giant hammer. It looked like it could have belonged to the berserker Thor. And Deku's just like, this keeps on getting better and better. And Lorelli says, okay, so far we're up against the oldest hero in all of history, and the god of thunder from Norse mythology. What about their leader? Chris says, I couldn't tell you what his powers was. I just knew that, they obeyed him. And the only reason why they didn't grab me was because they said Mato still had yet to perfect me as a vessel. And they only took Tosaka to draw you out, Emiya. Deku, he's hearing that and he's pissed because that's his woman. He don't give a fuck what anyone says. He's going after her and he's going to save her. Consequences be damned. And Ida can see it in his eyes, and Lorelli, she's already aware. And she tells Deku to calm down. They have to put a plan together, and they have to go after her strategically. They just can't blow all of their loads to rush after them, They can't do that. And Deku's just like, so what do you expect me to do? What the hell do you expect me to do? And she says, I expect you to keep a calm head and at least let us look for clues. We have no idea where they went. And Deku says, no, but I think I know a few people who might. And, of course, I'm going to say, Aizawa, he enters the hospital and he sees Deku and Ida there. And Deku says to Aizawa, we need to take out the League of Villains and we need to do it tonight. They've crossed a line with me that they are going to regret. I don't care if I have to slaughter every last one of them to get the information I need. They get put down tonight. And I'm like, Almighty even said it himself. There's times when you gotta kill villains. So, this is that time. And as always, he's looking at him and he's just like, look, tell me why this is so personal for you, and then I'll consider. And Deku's like, they took Rin. They took my girlfriend. The only piece left that's keeping me sane at the moment, the one thing holding me back and holding me to my moral code. And trust me, if she dies, you don't want to see what I'll be capable of. And, he's just like, to be honest, we're scouring everywhere for the League of Villains. And Deku's like, okay, what places do you guys have, for suspect? And Deku's like, tell me. And Aizawa's just like, look, we don't have any real leads yet. And Deku's just like, look, it's pretty simple if you really think about it. They're going to need a lot of room. It has to be someplace ran down to where they're not getting a whole lot of attention. A place that's almost condemned or fully condemned. There's not a whole lot of places like that in this time. So, look for that. There should be a handful at most in this area. He's like, well, they do have a warp gate, and, he's just like, look. Even in a 100-mile radius, that quirk has to have some drawbacks. They're going to need a rundown place that has a lot of room. There aren't too many of that even in a 2,000-mile radius. And by the way they had a smell, it kind of smelled like alcohol. So I suggest we look for a rundown bar or a condemned bar that has probably 2 stories if we're going to go, and it says that they don't have, that many people left after we took them down, but still enough people to warrant having a 2nd floor. And, as I was actually thinking about it, he's just like, this is worth a shot. So he contacts, All Might and the police. And the police actually say, well, there's really only one area. And they mark it down. And they're getting everyone ready. And Deku says, I'm going in there. And Ida says, I'm going with him. And Aizawa says, absolutely not. You're crossing a line here. And All Might's actually like, look, they're strong. They took down League villains. They're not hurt. They're an asset at this point. Well, I don't like it either. We're going to have to give them a absolutely briefest repeat reprieve here and let them join the fight. Because this guy, if he's there, he's not going to mess around. Magic can't be stolen. So using him is something that's needed because quirks can be stolen. So we need Emiya no matter what. He's the only mage we got. And, that's when Lorelei, she speaks up. She's like, I can grant him permission to act freely as a mage. But there would be a price to be paid for that. And Deku's like, what's the price? And she tells him, you'd have to be a member of the clock tower, not a student at UA. And Deku, he thinks about it. And he's like, done. I quit being a student at UA. I'm dropping out. And I'm rejoining the clock tower. And Lorelei, she puts through the paperwork immediately to get Deku certified as a clock tower member. And she does. Deku's no longer a student at UA. He is now only and fully a member of the clock tower. And that actually pains Ida to hear Deku giving up on being a pro hero. And Ida asks him, what about being a hero of justice? What about that? And Deku says, being a hero of justice, I thought I wanted that, but I told you, Rin is my biggest priority. She's going to be the one I'm going for, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get the information I need. I told you if that meant me stacking bodies a mile long and several feet high, I would stack as many bodies as it took, even if I stacked them so high I reached Heaven's Gate itself. She's everything to me. Being a hero of justice, that was Kiritsugu's dream. It was an ideal I picked up from him. It wasn't even mine. I was a counterfeit. A fake. Just like some kid clenching onto his father's dream. Never even developing a dream of his own. Not until after I met her. I was able to let it go. I was able to accept the fact that I killed my father's heroic spirit. I was able to live with the fact I let Kirei Kotomine die. I could live with the fact I let Archer die. I could live with the fact that Ilya got killed and I couldn't stop it. The only reason I've ever been able to live with myself is because I've had her supporting me. If she goes, I go off the deep end. And we both know there will be no one able to stop me at that point. And he just tells him, if it comes to that, I'll stop you myself. Or die trying. Deku tells him, I'll remember that. But you're not able to go with me on this mission. Stay back here with Lugia and protect Sakura. Lorelei and I are going to go join the fight as members of the clock tower. And Aizawa asks, how does the clock tower have authority here? And, Lorelei tells him, we believe mages are involved in the attack, which gives us the full authority to intervene and participate in raids on villain activities, especially since we have proof that mages were attacked and a mage was kidnapped. That gives us all the authority we need. After all, we are international. We have no boundaries. And as I was like, and you're really able to let that kid off his leash? And Lorelei tells him he was going to go off his leash either way. No one can hold him back anymore. Izuku Emiya was either going to be seen as a hero or feared as a villain for what he's done. And I'm making sure he's being seen as a hero of justice for this. I'm not going to let him become the same type of filth that he's about to fight. And we know how you pro heroes operate. You don't want anybody being killed. You don't want anybody being able to get hurt. But this is too important. There's lives at stake here. Everything around us is at risk. We're at risk of another calamity level incident that could destroy millions here this time. So Emmy and I won't be holding back. We'll be going for killing blows. And we're not allowing any of them to escape. And, at this point, the villains don't know that they know where they're at. Bakugo, Kirishima, Kaminari, they're all there. And, just as soon as, they were about to be sent away to go to the doctor for a special procedure, the heroes start barging in, and, Shigaraki's, he's not listening to All for One anymore. So, Kirigiri, he literally just sends Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari to the doctor. And as soon as he does that, the doors are just blown in by All Might and Deku. And All Might, he's evaluating the area, and Deku, he's evaluating the threat levels here. So before, Dabi can even think, Deku cuts off Dabi's head. All Might is mortified, but Deku's not done. He's creating projections and just shooting them off midair, just stabbing into all of the surrounding villains, killing them. Which means Shigaraki is dead. Toga is dead. That magnet person's dead. Pretty much everyone that got away from the training camp is now dead, along with Shigaraki. Kirigiri, he really can't do anything, and All Might's just shocked, and All for One sees this as an oh shit moment. So he pretty much figures his time's up. He's going to get killed. So he releases all the Nomus he can in a last-ditch effort to try and buy as much time as he can. All Might finds him, and, he sees that they're all like that, and All Might and All for One, they just start fighting. And Deku and Lorelei, they're fighting the Nomus. And Deku's not going easy, and he's had enough of this, so he's about to just break out the big guns. So he holds out his left arm, and he starts the incantation. I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unaware of beginning nor aware of the end. Withstood pain with inconsistent weapons. My hands will never hold anything. Yet my flames never end. My whole body was still unlimited blade works. And as he says that, the landscape changes, just like Archer's. But the incantation was different. This, Deku's reality marble, is different. Instead of the scorching sands and the reddish sun, there's nothing but a blue sky with the moon, a snowstorm spewing all throughout the land. Nothing but snow for miles, as far as the eye can see, and swords of ghostly blue shapes, all forming in the ground, becoming solid. All Might sees this, and he's just like, what in the hell is this? And Deku tells him, this is my realm. This is where I control everything. You will feel the flame that never ends of my wrath. You will tell me exactly where those mages are. The ones that blew up my home, took my woman hostage, put my friend in the hospital. They are going to pay deeply for this. And all for one, he's looking at Deku and he can tell he does not stand a chance against him in this world. A world with infinite swords. And Deku tells him, you will tell me or you will die. So All for One tells Deku the Ainsworths have a secret base hidden far away near a mountain where there is a floating cube above the mountain. That is where he will find his so-called woman and his foes. And he tells All Might, it seems like I will die today. How interesting. Even though you weren't the one to end me. Doesn't matter. I've already secured a successor. A fledgling student that was supposed to be yours will now take over my mantle. And I'm sure his rage and wrath will give way to even more and even greater carnage. And he laughs, and Deku just tells him, shut the fuck up. As he summons a mass of swords and impales All for One on every corner and on every end until there is not a shred of him left. He takes out all the Nomus the same way, impaling them, killing them. All the pro heroes can't believe just how powerful Deku is. But there seems to be a price he's paying. His skin is burning, again, even darker. He's becoming more sinister. His noble phantasm seems to be changing. It's corrupting. And Deku's learning to create something new. The two swords, Byakko and Kancho, they're becoming something different. Something far more deadly. they end up becoming from 2 swords to 2 pistols with the sworded tips at the edge of them. His skin is darkened even more, beyond compare. His eyes grow that gray color, empty of all joy, devoid of all purpose. And Deku's just like, at this point, he just starts shooting them. He's not even worried about using his swords anymore at this point. He's just shooting. And every bullet he shoots out, he says, "Unlimited lost works." And as soon as the bullets enter, they start spewing a mountain of swords out all throughout their body, just ripping them apart more viciously and violently than before. So if anyone's catching on, Deku's gone from being the normal Shirou Emiya to Emiya Alter. And this is a darker, more brutal Izuku Emiya. After fearing to lose everything that he's ever loved, he's completely lost all control. Unchained from his rules and morality, he's become a killer far worse than Kiritsugu Emiya ever could have dreamed of. At this point, he has no love for being a hero of justice. He despises that goal with everything in his body. And after that, he dispels it. He goes to Lorelei, says, "It's done. I got the information we need." And she notices this new colder look, and even his magic circuits are colder. And she's just like, "Something's changed about you." And he's like, "Yeah. Now come on, let's go." And they head off. All Might never ends up using up the rest of his embers in that fight. So, the League of Villains is all but wiped out. Ida was watching the news and he saw exactly what Deku did. And he was mortified of it. As the police try to arrest Deku, they're informed of his immunity to persecution, because it is now an international affair. And they have all of the right to be there and every right to be using lethal force against these terrorists. The League of Villains were officially classified as terrorists, and a death sentence came upon them from the governments. That is how Deku's actions were, justified and sanctioned. And that's where I'm actually going to leave it off for today. So, tell me what you guys think of this latest part. I really wanted to, take this in a darker turn, because, to be honest, Heaven's Feel and Oath Under Snow, Shirou's are incredibly darker. And just how I wrote in this story, thinking about how Shirou's character is, and how, Emiya Alter is, I think this was the best course of action to go with for the way I wrote the story so far. So, I hope you guys will stick around for the next part, and I'll catch you guys then. Peace.